This video and every other video I make is brought to you by Patreon. I couldn't do this without your support. Check out what kind of incentives you can get down below. Royal Rumble has come and gone, and a lot of the things I said were wrong. A lot of the things I said were right. I will die on the hill of feeling like I'm owed royalties for coming up with the idea of DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls match, because I was pitching that 2 weeks in advance. That being said, there were other things I was dead wrong about, such as the winners of both Royal Rumbles, and there were things I was right on the money about, like Io Sky getting eliminated before even number 30 showed up, and in quite underwhelming fashion. I'm not saying I'm happy about it, I'm just saying I was right. So what I decided I was going to do today was I was going to book 6 or 7 matches for each night of WrestleMania that I would like to see, and give you a little bit of a reason why. Later this week, I might do the matches that I think we're going to be seeing at WrestleMania, so on and so forth. But let's jump right in and talk about it. We're going to start with WrestleMania Night 1, and I am going to go in order from opening to main eventing the show, and I'll tell you what I think we're going to see, or what I want to see, rather than what I think we're going to see. Remember, this is entirely my opinion, and you can tell me how wrong it is in the comments, because I know you're going to anyway. Like the guy who decided that in the 20 minutes I spent talking about the Royal Rumble, or whatever it was the other day, the most important thing to tell me was how he thought Blue Sky sucked. Weird hill to die on, but okay. That being said, you can go follow me on Blue Sky at XanderRC. And jumping right in, the first thing I want to talk about with WrestleMania Night 1 this year, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Now, this is already one that you'll see on both of these videos. I think we're set for this. Last night on Raw, we saw the package pile driver from Kevin Owens laying out Sami Zayn with it. It seems that that is on the road we're going. It'll be the first time we've ever gotten Sami and Kevin one-on-one at WrestleMania, where Sami is playing the face and Kevin is playing the heel, the roles that they are both far better suited for than they were 4 years ago at 37, where Sami was the conspiracy theorist heel and Kevin Owens was Stone Cold Light face. Now, I feel like you have to have Kevin Owens win this one in brutal fashion. I love Sami Zayn. I feel that this year could be the year we see Sami Zayn win that World Heavyweight Championship. However, Kevin Owens needs these big wins because I think Kevin Owens will be holding that World Heavyweight title when Sami Zayn wins it later this year, whether that's at SummerSlam, whether that's at a big Saturday Night's Main Event, Survivor Series, or something else. That also being said, I do think we see Kevin Owens win this matchup, and that is how I would book it. But I also believe that this is where you do the Randy Orton return. Because at this point, Randy Orton didn't return in the Rumble. Putting him in the Elimination Chamber would feel like a weird step in a different direction. And I think you should hold off on his return until after Sami and Kevin have had their WrestleMania match. Otherwise, he becomes a bit of a clunky third wheel in this story that's been going on for, what, almost 20 years in the business? Up next, the women's tag team titles, and I did manage to fit every main roster championship, other than the speed titles, of course, onto WrestleMania's Night 1 and 2. Do I think we're going to get all the titles at WrestleMania this year? I don't know. There are 11 championships on main roster now, and with Triple H liking to keep WrestleMania 6 or 7 matches at most, well, I am working with a very limited card in that respect. I think that in the next few weeks, we are going to be seeing Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez win the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. I'm not terribly excited about that fact. I've been pretty outspoken that I'm not the biggest Judgment Day fan following SummerSlam last year. I don't know. I've just never really been that into Liv Morgan, and now that her women's world title reign is over, I am far less interested in her story. But it seems that the route they're going to go down is Dom is probably going to help her and Raquel win the titles. So at WrestleMania, I've got it booked that it will be a triple threat matchup for the women's tag team titles. Liv and Raquel versus Candice LeRae and Nia Jax versus Bianca Belair and Naomi, where we will have Bianca Belair and Naomi picking up the gold. Candice LeRae and Nia Jax are in the match because someone has to take a pin in that matchup, and we all know it's going to be Candice LeRae. Jade Cargill's injury seems to be legitimate. We don't know when she's going to be back. It could be on the road to WrestleMania. It could be after WrestleMania. At this rate, I'd save her for a Raw after WrestleMania, along with all of this. Then on the night after WrestleMania, you can do the big reveal that it was Naomi that attacked her, that it was Bianca that attacked her, that it was an inside job between Naomi and Bianca. Who knows? I don't really have an idea for the route they go down with this one. The Jade Cargill story has felt like a weird work shoot where they wrote her off with that car injury as a way to keep her out for a long time. and there's really no definitive answer on when we can expect to see her back. The Women's United States title, this is one I've been campaigning for since the beginning, and that is for Jordynne Grace to challenge Chelsea Green for the gold. Now, them having Piper Niven accidentally eliminate Chelsea Green from the Royal Rumble this weekend leads me to believe it's going a different route, and Jordynne Grace's one elimination in the Rumble being Jada Parker, and the woman who eliminated her being NXT Women's Champion Julia, makes me feel like they're just sticking Jordynne Grace in developmental for a little while, though I don't think she needs it. She is main roster ready, and I would have even booked her to go further in the Rumble than she did, but beggars can't be choosers. I would personally really like to see her and Chelsea run it back at WrestleMania. These two have had incredible chemistry forever, especially I've seen some of their TNA stuff, especially the stuff in 2021, 2022 times, where they were absolutely tearing the house down over the Knockouts title in that time. Jordynne and Chelsea have incredible chemistry together, and putting that US title on Jordynne Grace this early into her career would be an incredible move to get her extremely over. You could very much see her doing the John Cena US Open Challenge style run with the United States Championship in the women's division. And this woman always has incredible ring gear. You could see her matching it to that championship so well. And I think that WrestleMania is a good place to give Chelsea this big, grand entrance with the title, while also passing the title on to the next holder. As for the WWE World Tag Team Championships, while it does seem that they might be teasing the idea that the Creeds might win these championships off of the War Raiders in the coming weeks, I am going to say that they are not going to be picking up the titles and that the War Raiders will be holding on to them. That is not because I don't like the Creeds. I actually rather enjoy the Creeds, and I do think that they should be the tag team champions sooner rather than later, but they have cooled off so heavily with the American-made faction, which should have gotten all four people much more advanced in their careers than it has, but rather instead it has seemingly been one step forward, 6 steps back for all of them. Chad Gable's another one of those guys that feels like he got re-signed and then they decided, well, we're done trying to court you into staying with us, so now we don't really have to do anything with you. He's off to master the dark arts of Lucha Libre, which could very well be leading to a Aleister Malachi Black return to WWE, and perhaps even a Penta feud for WrestleMania, which would be really nice, but I'm not counting on that just yet because his contract still seems to be in limbo with AEW, and I've got Penta elsewhere on this card. So instead, I'm going to say that the War Raiders are keeping the WWE World Tag Team Championships, and instead at WrestleMania, they'll be facing the heel New Day. New Day debuted their new entrance, their new theme song, and all of that last night on Raw, and it very much feels like we're on the upswing with heel New Day now. I think that WrestleMania is the right time to put the titles on them and give them a long reign with the gold. That way they can keep being these massive heels. The most booed men in the company right now are the New Day. They are incredibly hated, and you've got to capitalize on this by putting those World Tag Team Championships on them. Another wrinkle I would add to this situation at WrestleMania is I would have Big E on commentary for the matchup. Have Big E out there just lamenting the fact that he can't be in the ring to help his brothers and being upset that they turned on him the way that they did on the 10-year anniversary, that they got over there fighting with one another on a mutual hatred of him. And then when they win the titles, much like what what Drew McIntyre did to CM Punk last year, have them rubbing those titles in Big E's face, and then if Big E were to be cleared, that's when you have him take off the tie and reveal it by beating the hell out of them, or if he's not cleared, he just has to sit there while they rub it in his face. We did it, and we did it without you. Now, this is the one I'm actually really excited about, and this is the one that I feel like is going to be a little bit controversial with some people. I know a lot of people are in the camp that we should be getting Sheamus versus Braun Breaker one-on-one career versus title for the Intercontinental title, but it feels like the Intercontinental title over the last couple of years, especially since Gunther's reign, has been doing incredible in triple threat situations. The WWE roster is also so incredibly stacked right now that I have been putting a lot of triple threat situations onto this WrestleMania. In fact, I fully expect to get memed on and made fun of big time by all of you for this idea, because there are at least 2 more triple threats coming up across the 2 nights of WrestleMania. So I've got Sheamus versus Penta versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. WWE is said to be very high on Penta right now with his recent debut on the Raw and Netflix premiere. He's putting on incredible matches. He's showing he's got a lot of charisma and personality, and we are getting to see a whole new side of him. He got the Iron Man run in the Royal Rumble. He got the big spots with Rey Mysterio. He even got a moment with Roman Reigns in the Royal Rumble. I don't think you put the Intercontinental title on him here. I think WrestleMania is when you finally give Sheamus his due and give him the Intercontinental Championship so that he can be a Grand Slam champion. He's got more of his years behind him than he does in front of him, and he seems to have a bad luck curse of getting injured right around the time it seems like we might be getting close to that Sheamus IC title win. So I think you've got to pull the trigger this year and get that Intercontinental Championship onto Sheamus and do it now. Braun Breaker can easily win it back later in the year, but I would also rather just see Braun Breaker move up the card into the world title picture going later into 2025. This one, I'm not really saying I want it to happen, but I don't really seem to have a choice in the matter because Charlotte Flair did win the Women's Royal Rumble. We kind of all knew it was going to happen, and we kind of all know that her and Tiffany is going to happen for the WWE Women's title. I don't really feel much of a need to, dwell on this, lament on it for too long. We know it's going to happen. As much as I think Tiffany Stratton should win, better get ready to learn the words to whatever her theme song is called now, buddy, because Charlotte's probably walking out of WrestleMania with that championship, whether we like it or not. And then the main event that I have booked for WrestleMania Night 1 is, say it with me, a triple threat match. Get used to it. We got a couple more of these coming up. And that triple threat match is Jey Uso versus Gunther versus John Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think this happens not by John Cena winning the Elimination Chamber. In fact, I think John Cena will lose the Elimination Chamber. But I think we're going to be seeing more of this entitled John Cena. Not quite a heel, but best for business John Cena is almost the best way to put it. He's throwing his weight around a little bit backstage. I'm one of the biggest movie stars in the world. I built this company when everyone else left, when Rock left, when Hogan left, when Brock left, when Austin left. This company was on my back. And I should be the 17-time champion, not anybody else. There's also a case to make for John Cena to challenge for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania to get a Grand Slam Championship achievement as well. But I think you could have Cena throw his weight around and force himself into this matchup, starting as like hey, no offense, buddy, but this main event needs a main eventer between him and Jey. He's being a little condescending towards Jey Uso with the build to this. Meanwhile, Jey Uso, at first, he's like, yeah, you're the GOAT, you're the greatest of all time. You deserve to be a 17-time champion, but I eliminated you from the Rumble. This is my WrestleMania main event. You had your chance. You failed twice, Oos. And meanwhile, you can have Gunther coming in, and he is like, John Cena, you're a washed-up old man. You shall not be winning your 17th world title, John Cena. And Jey Uso, you're street trash. I just wanted an excuse to say street trash in the Gunther voice. And ultimately, you might be thinking, oh, is this where you do number 17? Have like an unhinged heel Cena for the year? No. You have Jey Uso win by pinning John Cena. And that just messes with him a little bit more. Because you're not going to have people believing in main event Jey Uso if he doesn't win in the main event. Yes, I know it's a meme to call it the mid-card World Heavyweight Championship, but this needs to main event at least WrestleMania Night 1, or you are going to have more people memeing on it and calling it the mid-card World Championship. And Jey Uso, I was against him winning the Rumble. There's video proof of me sitting there dumbfounded at the decision to have Jey win the Royal Rumble, going, well, that was weird, and being a little down on it. And Ray, my co-host over at LS11 Universe, he was furious. He was just so quick. I was like, whoa. I was like, well, that was, and he just caught me off. Nope, I'm saying it now. Bad choice. Like, Ray was drilling in how bad of a choice it was, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna let it play out, I guess. And so I am letting it play out, and I think, to silence those doubters, you've got to put that belt on Jey Uso, and you've got to do it on the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania. And I say the Night 1 WrestleMania main event because I like Jey Uso a lot, but I don't see WWE nowadays putting a guy like Jey Uso in the main event of Night 2. I would love to be proven wrong. I would really love to be proven wrong. Honestly, I would. But I don't know if I'm going to be. But that is what I got for night 1 of WrestleMania 41. As just a quick recap, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn with a Randy Orton return. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending the women's tag team titles against Candice LeRae and Nia Jax and Bianca Belair and Naomi. Jordan Grace challenging Chelsea Green for the women's U.S. title. New Day challenging the War Raiders for the World Tag titles with Big E on commentary. Sheamus versus Penta versus Braun Breaker for the IC title. Charlotte Flair versus Tiffany Stratton for the women's title. And Jey Uso versus John Cena versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title. Over on to night 2, I have one less match booked this time, but I do have an opening for someone to be squeezed in there, whether it's an AJ Styles. In fact, it probably will be AJ Styles, and it probably will be AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. But for my own sanity, I just didn't put Logan Paul on this because I've made my feelings pretty clear on him. I can't stand him, and I don't want to talk about him more than I have to. But I am atoning for my sins a little bit here, I will admit, as the first thing I have booked for WrestleMania Night 2 is Io Sky challenging Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Championship. I'm convinced. I want to see it. You guys win. I have always liked Io Sky a lot. I have. For some reason, just the groundswell of support you all had for her on my Rumble Fantasy booking, for some reason that was enough to convince me. I want to see it. I don't know what changed my mind. I want to see it. I want to see Rhea and Io one-on-one for that title at WrestleMania. And to an extent, I kind of want to see Io win that title. I want to see a face Women's World Champion Io Sky. She was a great heel champion, but I think with her moveset, she could be an even better face champion. I know she was just cost the shot at the Elimination Chamber last night by Rhea Ripley on accident, but to an extent, I think that makes me want to see her get that shot at Rhea even more. Because yeah, you two are friends, but how long is that going to last when you keep getting in one another's way? I talked about a triple threat meme a minute ago, how you guys are going to be making fun of me for the number of triple threats. And I want to recreate a moment here. If you remember last year, we had that tracking shot of Sami Zayn going to the ring where Kevin Owens was waiting for him before his match with Gunther, and Kevin told him, go get him. And then the next night at WrestleMania Night 2, we had the same shot with Kevin where Sami held up the IC title and said, your turn. I want to recreate that this year for the United States Championship with Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jimmy Uso. And so the way you do that is you have Jimmy having a tracking shot following him. You have Jay waiting in Gorilla, World Heavyweight title in hand. Now go get your Zeus. And I would have Jimmy Uso win the U.S. title at WrestleMania. Have them do the nice thing. Do the nice thing. Have both Usos with singles titles, hugging in the ring, holding up their respective titles at WrestleMania. Just do the nice thing. Also, I didn't put it on here, but Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu seems like a match we'll probably get at WrestleMania. And if we're not going to get that, because if they've just decided not to have Solo Sikoa come back for some reason after Tribal Combat, have Jacob Fatu in this match and put the U.S. title on him instead. I feel like Jacob should have a belt. And if he's not going to get this, send him to Raw in the draft and have him take the World Heavyweight title off of Jay later this year. Put a belt on Jacob Fatu, cowards. Put all the belts on Jacob Fatu, cowards. But this then leads us on to a fatal four-way match, a ladder match for the WWE Tag Team titles. And I also feel like this might be where we're going with all of this as well. I would have DIY defending against the Street Profits, the Motor City Machine Guns, and Pretty Deadly. I don't feel like this needs much explanation. I feel like all four of these teams would fit a ladder match very well together. And you put the belts on the Street Profits. Just put the belts on the Street Profits. I've been waiting for these two to get another tag team title run for years at this point. I wanted them to be the ones to beat the Usos. I wanted them to win it at WrestleMania last year. I wanted them to beat A-Town Down Under. I have been chomping at the bit for these two guys to get their dues and get these tag titles again for so long now. It is a crime that pretty much their entire tag team title run, both of them because of the weird title handoff in 2020 actually, all of their title runs happen in front of computer monitors and in front of no fans. And Viking Profits happened. Give them the damn titles at this point. I have been waiting so long for it. Break them up and send them both on singles pads, or give them the damn titles. I would prefer the second one. Okay. I'll stop crashing out about that for now. I just really like the Street Profits. They're two of my favorite guys in the company right now. See big things for both of them. The women's Intercontinental title, though. I say you have Lyra Valkyria defending against Becky Lynch on this show. Run back their NXT story. Have Becky play the heel role a little bit. Not full on big time Bex again like she was back in 2021, 2022. But at the same time, you play up a little bit that she's a little cocky about this because Lyra has choked some big wins on main roster. Ultimately, you use this as an opportunity to put Lyra Valkyria over strong. You have her beat Becky Lynch. You have her retain that women's intercontinental title. You have her keep going on a run with it. And then eventually, you can use that title to build a new star on the main roster, whether that be a Julia, a Roxanne Perez, a Stephanie Vaquer, a Cora Jade, so on and so forth. You use that title as it should be used, as a stepping stone to the women's world title and the WWE women's title, because I love Becky Lynch, but she doesn't need that title. There's no reason for her to have it. And I would very much rather see someone like a Lyra Valkyria get that big WrestleMania win over Becky Lynch. It did wonders for Rhea Ripley last year, and if she had not gotten injured by Liv the next night on Raw, I think we would have seen a lot more come out of that as well. Now, this is the match that's made me make this video. This is the second to last match I got booked, and this is going to be a controversial one, I'm pretty sure. Now, the report is that Damian Priest is going to be working with Drew McIntyre for this show. But after the reports of what happened at the Royal Rumble with Drew's elimination, I think you book Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight. I think you do it. I think you do it. Lean into that realness of it a little bit. If Drew really was pissed off at LA Knight for going to business for himself and trying to get his moves in, why am I sounding like Carnal? Hold on. I can't do the Drew voice. Ray does a way better Drew voice than me. It's fine. I've learned to accept it. But, you know, Drew being like, oh, he was trying to get his moves in. He's trying to make himself over rather than focusing on the stories of the match. Although apparently it's come out that that might not be who he was mad at, but whatever. I say you lean into it. You lean into it. You have Drew and LA Knight do this feud. Have Drew lamenting, have him lambasting LA Knight for, you only care about making yourself more important, and all this and that. You don't care whose way you get in. And you do that. You tell that story. And you just have Drew snap at WrestleMania. You have him snap on LA Knight. I love LA Knight. But you have Drew snap. And that's how you send him further up the card to the main event scene. But what I think should be main eventing night 2 of WrestleMania 2025, WrestleMania 41, is CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Out of all the things they have teased, that is what I am most intrigued by. That is what I'm most intrigued by. Their interaction on Raw this year, the one last year. Everything intrigues me so much more about them than Cody versus Cena right now. We get to Cody and Cena later, and I will do a video fantasy booking Cena's entire 2025 soon. But I would much rather see Cody Rhodes falling further and further down that path, hearing those Homelander violins in his ears, getting just that little bit more unhinged with each and everything. We saw what he did to Kevin Owens. And I'm suggesting that in the main event of WrestleMania 41, Cody finally loses it. He snaps. He does that unhinged thing. Maybe even a Pepsi plunge. Pedigree off the top rope. Maybe even Tiger Driver 97. Cody cheats in the main event of WrestleMania. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Well, he found a way to lighten the load just a little. And it was by showing who's really been behind that smile the whole time. It's been a while since we've had a big turn in the main event of WrestleMania. Big plot twist so to say. The closest thing I can think of is Roman winning at WrestleMania 39 because adversity. Cody snaps. And the man that has to try and save him, the man that has to remind him, you're the face of the company now. Well, I think you can all see it coming later in the year. But that is my fantasy booking as of right now for what I think I would like to see at WrestleMania 41. Go ahead, tell me how much you hated it in the comments. The engagement drives me into the algorithm, so go for it. Bye!